Well, welcome to Module 1 of SPT 323, A History of Video Games. My name is Dr. Mark Bowles, and I'll be your instructor for the next 5 weeks. Now, for each of the modules in our class, what I want to do is provide a short overview of the module content and also what to expect and prepare for the week. This first module overview is going to take a little bit longer than the others because I want to include some of the overarching goals of the class itself. So to start with, let's take a look at our main textbook for the class. It's entitled Creating Plato's Cave, Video Game History from Pong to Simulation. Now, you're going to get sick of me by the end of the 5 weeks because I am the author of the main textbook for the class and also the creator of this class itself. And I have a great passion for the history of video games and the history of technology and computing. So I was fortunate to be able to put all of this together for this class for UAT. And I've been working on the history of video games for the last several years. However, it really does feel like a lifelong endeavor because I've had a video game fascination my entire life. So the book and the class are deeply tied together. They intertwine with each other. And there's 5 main chapters in the book, and these correspond directly to the 5 modules in our class. So in Module 1, Week 1, this is also Chapter 1 of our textbook, and it focuses on gaming offline. So all types of games that existed before there was an internet where we could play games together. And we start with the very first video game of significance, and that was Space War. It was programmed by MIT engineers in the early 1960s. Then from there, we're going to go on to examine the arcade era, initiated by Atari's Pong video game. And this is in the 1970s. Then we conclude Module 1, Chapter 1, in the mid-1980s when there was a concern that the video game industry might actually fail, and this was known as the Great Video Game Crash. For the most part, and there are obviously exceptions to every rule, but most of the games during this period from the 1960s to the mid-1980s had no online component. Gaming with friends simply meant sitting in the same room with them and using multiple controllers jacked into the same computer. Then to briefly overview the rest of the class, Module 2, Chapter 2 will look at the transition from offline gaming to online gaming. Then in Module 3, Chapter 3, we're going to explore how these first online experiences with people over the internet had relatively few people engaged together, and how this transitioned then into a massive worldwide gaming experience with MMORPGs. Then Module 4, Chapter 4 focuses on gaming economics with the first attempts to make real money by playing video games, and also the debate over the more recent play-to-earn blockchain games. And so we're going to debate whether or not real player ownership associated with blockchain, whether or not this is a revolutionary development or if it is an absolute revolting mess and a Ponzi scheme at worst. Module 5 and Chapter 5 then takes us to the world of simulation gaming, where we are going to discuss the latest developments in virtual reality, augmented reality, haptic technology, and how these can combine to create intensely immersive games with simulation as the theme. And so we can see this is where we are going with the class, which is the subtitle of the book itself. From Pong, and slightly before that with Space War, to simulation. Now, each week, the main textbook, again, Creating Plato's Cave, it's not it's not going to be the only assigned reading. For example, in Module 1, you're also going to be reading the introduction to the Muriel and Crawford book, Video Games as Culture. And the title of that introduction is called Contemporary Culture Through the Lens of Video Games. Through the lens of video games. That's an important idea here. And the idea is that we're not simply looking at a history of gaming. That this game was made, then this game, then this game. Instead, we're going to be looking at these video games and trying to understand them and understand our culture as well. So it is a lens into our culture. We can explore the history of video games and learn something about society itself. This type of research, it falls under the spectrum of popular culture. And popular culture is a significant academic pursuit. To understand how scholars are researching and studying popular culture, you're going to be reading an article by Leroy Ashby this week entitled The Rising of Popular Culture. And you'll get a sense of where this discipline has emerged from and why it is an important academic study. I do recommend that you look at your course assignment, the course project assignment, because over the course of the next 5 weeks, you're going to each become an expert on the cultural impact of one significant video game of your choice. So I'd like you to read through the kind of the scaffolding of all the different projects that we have that lead up to week 5 and our final assignment for our course project assignment. And you're going to have to get started on it in week 1, because in week 1 you're going to be signing up for your video game. That is your first assignment. You're going to choose a video game that you want to explore for the remainder of the class. And the goal is for us to gain a broad spectrum of different video games to learn from each other. So there's going to be no duplication in terms of what video games students can have. So that's why I have this sign-up sheet for week 1. So first come and first serve. If you've got an idea for a video game you want to study, I recommend you claim it as soon as possible. Now in week 2, for our course project assignment, you're going to have an annotated bibliography, which is going to list the research that you're going to use to explore your game. And an annotated bibliography, which I'll talk more about next week, is just a brief description, an annotation for each of the articles that you're going to use to research your game. Then in week 3, you're going to present your outline of your paper. Week 4, you're going to have a visual presentation to share with the class. This can be a video, this can be a PowerPoint presentation. The source of the type of the visual presentation is up to you. But we want you to convey what you have learned so far about your video game in an engaging visual way. Then in the final week of the course, you're going to submit your final research paper on your game. You'll be conducting research on your game. As I mentioned, in week 2, you're going to share what some of that research is going to be. And to assist you with finding research, I've put together what's called a course library. And here you'll find a listing of websites. There's podcasts, YouTube channels, and museum exhibitions that all focus on video games. So you can go through these and use them to help you understand the cultural significance of your video game. There's also general technology magazines that often have some fantastic gaming articles that you can look through. And you're not limited only to these articles in our course library, but they should give you an excellent starting point from which to explore. Now, one other, I hope, interesting element which is unique in this class is that we have something of a class quest or a game to play ourselves. And one of the ideas that I had for this book in class is to gamify it in a way so that we can have a playful competition with each other. And we can't have a playful competition without something that all of us know exists in arcade games, at least, and that is a high score list. So we're actually going to have a fun high score list for our class. So how is that going to work? Well, let me start by telling you what you're competing for. Now, it's not going to be a new car or $1,000, but instead we're going to be competing for extra credit points in the class. So the winner, whoever winds up in first place in the high score list at the end of the class, will earn 50 class points. And since the class has 1,000 total points, this essentially gives you a half of a letter grade bonus. So that's a pretty nice bonus for first place. And that's going to then decrease down to last place. So say, for example, 10 people decide to play, because this is not a required part of the class. This is just something fun for us to do, so you don't lose any points by not participating. So if 10 people out of the class play, the first person in first place is going to earn 50 points. Then the second place would earn 45, third place would earn 40, and then the 10th would earn no points, down to 0. So that's just kind of the rough spectrum. Pretty much everybody who plays will earn a couple points, and if you are the winner, you can earn the full 50 points. Now, I'll have more instructions on this in the class, how to play, but if you wish to participate, you'll go to themaf.app, that's THEMAF.app. You'll select Enter under the cave, then select Enter again, and the first thing you're going to want to do is join our crew. So the term crew is what I have used for what you might see as a guild in another game. And so within that crew, we can see what our high score list is for the game itself. You should join the crew the very first thing, because any points that you earn outside of before joining the crew, you won't be able to earn again. So join the crew, go through the tutorial, and then you can begin playing. So that's it for my class welcome. And one other thing I wanted to point out is that there's also a class quest within the main textbook itself. So there's multiple different ways to earn points towards this extra credit competition. And again, there's going to be a lot more information about this in the class itself that you can read about. But this is my class welcome for now. I look forward to meeting all of you in the discussion boards, getting to know you, and getting to learn what your interests are. And I'm excited to see which video games you're going to select to research in the class. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn from each other and share our passions for where our own video gaming interests lie. So, until next week, and also later this week, I'm signing off for now. Take care.